Basic math in Java. The first thing you need to do is create a scanner. So once you get into your program, this will be one of your first lines of code. That allows the computer to read information in. So you're going to notice in Java that very little comes for free. We have to program everything. Once you've created a scanner, you can then read an integer or a double. So next int will get you an integer, next double will allow you to read a decimal. There are also inputs for strings, but we'll get to those later. Any variables must be declared before you use them. So integers, decimals, booleans, characters. When you declare your variable, it has to start with a letter, so I can have num1, but not one num. The rest of the variable name can be letters, numbers, underscore symbols, no spaces between them. That is just like Python. So let's take an example. We need to import a library. This library has a scanner in it. Then create your scanner. So at the top of the code, we're importing the utility library. We have our class called test and our public static void main. We create an input, and then we declare our variables. So we're saying that num1 is an integer, num2 is an integer, and sum is an integer. You know how to do an output. So system out println enter your first number. And here's what the input looks like. So num1 equals input.nextInt. That expects you to put in an integer. If you put in a decimal, it'll blow up. Please enter your second number. Get your second number using the same sort of integer input. And then the math is the same as Python. You can ask to calculate the sum and then print the answer. So what's different? You'll notice my indentation is a little bit all over the place. This language doesn't care. If you don't like your indentation, highlight the whole thing, press Control-I, and it'll line things up for you. So again, to do input, import the utility file, create a scanner, input one item at a time. So you'll notice that the print has to be separate from the input. And please tell the user that you're waiting for something so they're not staring at a blank screen wondering why the program has stopped. Okay, what sort of mathematical operators are there? We can add, subtract, multiply, and divide just like Python. And then there's modular division, which creates a remainder. So how do you use them? You could say sum equals 2 plus 3, or sum equals num2 plus num3. So this is very much like Python. This one, the remainder, we'll get to that later. But the basics of it, imagine you had 5 jelly beans divided by 2 people. You could give everyone 2 jelly beans each, and there would be 1 left over. You're wondering why that's important? We'll get to that later. There are all sorts of other mathematical functions. A POW function does exponents, SQRT does square roots, there's trigonometry. The ones you're really interested in, POW and SQRT. So if I'm calculating a square, I have to do capital MATH dot POW, whatever number I want to square, and the exponent I raise it to. So you can do this for squaring, cubing, and any other exponent. And square root, call it whatever you want, capital math.sqrt, and whatever variable you want to find the square root of. There's more. This is the one that might interest you the most. If you're looking for pi, it would equal math.pi. And unlike Python, we don't have to import anything for this. So where are we? I think we're on assignment 3A at this point. So you're going to be declaring some variables, doing some input and output, and doing some basic math. So reminders, look for these functions. Those are your basic add, subtract, multiply, divide. Make sure you import the utility folder, create a scanner, declare your variables, input them, and then do your normal math.